Paul?
This is about the town I grew up in, and like it or not, and I did like it, and I did not like it quite a bit in the 10 years I lived there. Um, it certainly made a major influence on me that I haven't come to realize until the last few years. I titled it back in 2019, A Living Map of a Middle American Town Drawn by a Paperboy, 1959. The topography starts out on the flat surface of the sidewalk, under the marquee of the old Idol Theater. There's a stack of today's Cleveland Plain Dealers, secured by a wrapped strand of fencing wire that I cut with my pliers. On weekdays, the paper arrives already assembled, ready to load into my canvas bag to start the morning delivery. However, on Sunday, several sections arrive separately and need to be inserted into the latest news, a thicker, heavier pile of newsprint. It's September. Lodi School resumed the day after Labor Day, following the annual Lodi Fall Fair and the Medina County Fair. This Friday night, the Lodi Tigers will open their final football season before the school district consolidates, joining with Leroy and Seville to become Cloverleaf. This team will close their history with an undefeated championship season, including a humbling of Milan, 74-8, and Huron, 80-0. It's dark. Papers must be delivered before going home and then off to school. The contours of this trek. I start walking east on Worcester Street, passing a 4-unit motel by a small parking lot behind Zarni's Shoe Repair. By the front door, a couple canning vending machines, clear glass bowls on iron pedestals that accept pennies for the purchase. Crossing Worcester Street, it's on to the Elliott Funeral Home. Then I cover the residential customers on South Market and Academy Streets. Heading back to the square, I pass Howard's, the clothing store where the Tanner sisters sell fashions, and make my way south on Harris, opening screen doors one by one to deposit the morning news. The first house belongs to Mr. Waite, who I'll only meet in person once, for he always puts the weekly payment in an envelope taped to his door when I collect on Saturdays. A common outbuilding in Lodi's residential streets, small barns left over from the era of horse-drawn carriages and buggies. Some of my customers park their cars in these wooden structures with lofts. Done with Harris Street, back to the square, I pass the firehouse with the jail upstairs, Park Restaurant, Fetzer Ford, Benton's Variety Store, Leatherman's Hardware, and Chapman's Barbershop. My own haircuts were scheduled too frequently for my taste, and performed by Dallas Warner as he cranked up or down the leather seat, and I studied the cast iron footrest. A couple years later, I migrated to Paul Snyder's little shop on Church Street, behind Mrs. Musser's newsstand. Paul only charged $1, and he had a stack of, quote, men's magazines for boys to enjoy. Turning the corner onto Bank Street, passing Phillips Drugs, dropping papers off on both sides of the street, which doubled as U.S. routes 42 and 224 until the bypass had been finished. One of the residences on Bank still had a sign in front advertising tourist rooms. Because of Lodi's place as the intersection of two major car and truck routes, plus Ohio Route 76, our town supplied 3 small motels, 9 gas stations, including 3 of them as truck stops, and 9 places to sit and dine on cooked meals. This was before fast food, drive-through windows, and I was headed towards my favorite of Lodi's restaurants, the Aldo Diner. I don't know if the Aldo was open all night, like the Hobnob or John's Place further down the street, but when I arrived with the paper, the lights were on and the windows steamy from the heat off the grill and the fryer. It was L-shaped, an 8-stool counter parallel to the front and Bank Street, then the booths and the dining room tables perpendicular towards the back. Lodi Equity and the C.W. Summers auto dealership sat across Bank Street. The nickel plate railroad tracks were immediately west of the parking lot. I once sat in Mom's Edsel station wagon, stopped at the crossing, and spied a hobo, riding tucked in the corner underneath the coal hopper. We were less than half a mile from at least one hobo camp that I knew of. A couple of characters who roamed to the square, Johnny Muskrat and Alex, might have called the camp their home. I never knew. I was earning money so I could afford my own breakfast, hot chocolate and a home-baked meringue cookie displayed in a clear glass jar on the corner next to the cash register. I'd lift the thick lid, help myself, and peruse the reports and opinions on the Indians or the Browns of the day, back by the plain dealers Gordon Cobbledick or Hal Leibowitz. After viewing the funnies, I'd even scan the front page. I'm sure I was the best informed reader of current events in the 6th grade, including teachers. Back to the job. As dawn starts to light the town, a trek up Elyria Street, past Perkins Jeweler by the Black River Bridge, to Lodi Hospital, where I peddled extra papers that I had, quote, borrowed from a pile on the stoop of Musser's newsstand. Back down to Medina Street, I'd pass the Isley store. Later in the day, several of us might lunch on fries and Coke at Isley's. At the Lodi Trailer Park, where none of my customers' doors were locked, I'd open them, drop the paper in on their living room floor. Almost finished by now, I'd return to Worcester Street, passing the office of the weekly paper, the Lodi Advertiser, and then Bartholomew's Hardware, Roland Drugs, and the only bar within town limits, Lodi Grill. By this hour of the day, they had already had customers sipping 3-2 beer, and I was tickled I had the legitimate reason to be the only minor present. On Saturdays when I collected, it was usually packed. Lodi citizens who imbibed on stronger drink could go just outside the corporation line to Smitty's or Lee's 6% up on 42, or in the other direction, passing Jim's place to the Shady Glen, where Hollywood matinee idol Tyrone Power once stopped to rest. Onward, passing Western Auto, Bailey's Variety, Harry Hall's Barbershop, Pyatt Electric, where I later purchased my first 45 RPM records, Joe Warner Insurance, and the A&P and Underwood Grocery side by side. Lodi's third grocer, Scott's IGA, was across the square next to the post office. Completing the list of stores with food, Max Food Center was a mile away on 224 towards Homerville. Finally crossing Church Street to Musser's and Stick's restaurant next to the Idol, and home in time to leave for school. Mrs. Musser was so patient, allowing me to stand and read her magazines and paper books while only purchasing nickel candy bars. Later, she was not quite so understanding when it came to the theft of her daily plain dealers. Okay, so I'm folding this memory with another memory or question. Is this memory unique? I don't believe so. There were hundreds, thousands even, of Lodi-like towns in Ohio and all over the Midwest during the 50s and 60s, in the decades before that. But this perspective, I'm grateful to say, is one of many such recollections of those who celebrate a place in a time, and this one is mine. Lodi, Ohio.